Welcome back to your Networth's Network. I'm your host, Corey McNabb, and this is a networking style podcast where we bring up special guests, we talk about their life, talk about their business, and just, learn a little about them. Really figure out how we can all work together. Now, my goal in life is to rise to a place of excellence, and I want to bring you with me. So, that being said, let's invite our special guest, Mr. Amani. How you doing, Amani? Oh, you're muted, brother.
Is that better?
Oh yeah, how you doing, man?
Doing good, Corey. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Well, Amani, I know we've met. We met at Spin Art a while back. Dimitri's place, which y'all who've followed along, you know Dimitri. He was in an earlier episode. But let's get a little about you, Amani. Tell me about your life or about yourself.
So I'm from California originally. I live in Georgia now, but I'm from California. Kind of had a winding road here. Back in 1995, I ended up transferring to the University of Florida, where I got my undergrad degree in broadcasting. I studied journalism and went on to have a broadcasting career of about 26 years. And then about 3 years ago, I was having a conversation with my wife. I was like, let's get into real estate investing. She's actually a realtor. And I've always had, like, not always, but for several years, I had this inkling to get into real estate. When I lived in Tampa, Florida, there was a real estate investor who we ended up doing a lot of commercials for me and a buddy of mine. And so I kind of got exposed to wholesaling back then. It was like 1990, 91, but I never really moved on it because I've always liked my field of broadcasting. But then, about 3 years ago, I was like having a conversation with my wife. I figured I kind of didn't know that real estate investing was different from real estate transactions. And so, in doing some research, I was like, well, real estate investing is kind of different. So maybe I can focus on the real estate investing, and my wife can focus on the transactional side. So that's kind of how I started and started learning, going to YouTube University, learned about Pace Morby Sub 2. And then about a year ago, I got involved with a different Sub 2 mentor, went through his mentorship. And, I've always been networking, connecting with people. I met some local Atlanta Sub 2 folks who I'm now working with. And yeah, that's really where I'm at right now. So I've kind of moved away from the broadcasting career. I kind of have some physical challenges that have forced me to kind of transition into some different areas. So right now I'm just focused on finding deals.
Okay, great. Finding deals. What? Well, let me get to that in a second. You say you're working with a team. Are you working with Eddie Charger and them?
I'm working with Eddie charging them.
Okay, so what do you do on their team?
So currently I work in acquisition. So I call agents, days on market is what I'm focusing on. Just calling, building relationships, seeing if they have any deals or any listings that may fit our buy box. Having conversations, making offers. That's what I'm doing on a daily basis.
Gotcha. Okay, so what because I'm curious. I was with Eddie Charger for a little bit as a closer, but I realized I couldn't put enough time towards his business. That I was just a hindrance at that point. So I told him up front, hey, I got to step down because I'm not helping you at all. But I'm curious, like, what does a conversation with an agent look like for you? Like, could you give us a breakdown of kind of how they go?
Yeah, so normally what I'll do is I'll go into his CRM and kind of look at the leads. I'll click on a lead, look at the property, kind of look how many days on market it has. Think about if it's what the conversation will kind of go like. So I'll say, hey, kind of identify yourself. So you want to call them up. It's a cold call, obviously, but it's not a cold call because they want to hear from you. Like agents want to hear from buyers, and they want to talk to. Some of them aren't as open to talking to investors, but you'd be surprised. Some of them are, and some realtors actually want to work with investors specifically. So it just it goes something like, hey, how you doing today? I usually try to say like, "How's your day going?" Ask them a little something to kind of throw them off a little bit. They'll say, "How can I help you?" And you just sort of identify yourself. Hey, my name is Amani Channel. I'm calling because me and my partner are currently looking for an investment property, and I'm calling about a property, see if it's still listed. Kind of go over the property address and ask them some questions about it. Kind of get a feel for what the seller's situation is. Some realtors don't really want to talk about the specifics. They're kind of like, just make an offer. Some of them are very open to conversation, so you kind of have to feel it out. You want to build some rapport with them. So, if someone has an interesting accent, or, they live in like I lived in Florida for 8 years. So if I call a Florida market, I'll be like, how's the weather down there? Kind of talk about Florida a little bit. So you want to build some rapport. And yeah, at the end of the day, we want them to bring us leads. So if they have any sort of leads that fit our buy box, we want to sort of establish a relationship so we can start that process, either make an offer, right then, or not right then, but be in a position to send it to underwriting to make an offer, or else, build a relationship so they'll bring us leads down in the future.
Gotcha. So are you mainly reaching out to try and buy cash, or are you looking creative specifically?
So yeah, we actually have a strategy where we'll present three offers to the sellers. So we'll present a cash offer, which, cash offers tend to be a little bit lower than their asking price. So if the property isn't really in distress, or if the homeowner isn't in distress, the cash offer usually doesn't, it might not work. And then we'll also make a sub two or owner finance offer. So kind of just spell out the details of it, like we call the framework of what a sub two deal or owner finance deal would look like, depending upon if the house has a mortgage or not. And the third offer is a novation. So we'll come in, partner with them, help them make the repairs, and then sort of split the profits after we list with the agent on the market. So we'll make three offers in one. Actually, is what we is our strategy.
Okay. And so you give the agents just options to choose from, and
Exactly.
they can either pick one or just be like, no.
Nah, or yeah, we want to do this.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So I want to ask Amani, what is your goal? So I know you're with a team right now. Are you planning on staying with the team? Or are you just trying to learn a skill with the team and then go off do your own thing? Kind of what do you I guess what's your 5-year plan kind of look like?
So my 5-year plan is to understand, like, how to see a deal from beginning to end. So how to acquire a deal, and then the process of underwriting to dispositions. So right now I'm focused on acquisitions, obviously, but I've never really disposed of a property, so I'm kind of learning from Eddie, as he kind of, because he's very open and sort of bringing you along, teaching you the process. He wants you to go on and be successful in whatever you want to do. So my short-term goal is just to learn the whole process of prospecting, building relationships, prospecting via, because a lot of deals flow through agents. I think more deals flow through agents than not. So you're able to establish a relationship with like 3 or 4 agents who are bringing you deals. That can make it easier to find the deals. That can sort of cut down your time of acquisitions, or if someone's bringing you a deal that fits your buy box. So my idea is just to learn the process, and then go out on my own and be a successful sub two or creative investor.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Cool.
And then aside from that, I
So
think in the short term, I like to I need to bring some cash flow into the family. So also I'm looking at maybe wholesaling land is kind of what I'm focusing on right now. So that's what I do when I'm not calling for Eddie, is focusing. And I just started this, is just looking for land deals on my own.
so explain that process because I've never even considered wholesaling land. How does
Yeah,
that look for you?
so I actually kind of fell into it. So I was actually calling expired listings, and I fell into this land deal where this homeowner was like, "Yeah, I have this." She had an expired listing, but it was her own land property. It was her vacant lot. And so I just had a quick conversation with her. I was like, "Do you want to sell it?" She was like, "Yeah, my husband passed recently, and I need some cash flow." So so I made an offer, and she accepted the offer, and now I'm in the process of taking it to closing. I found a buyer for it, so it's basically similar to wholesaling a property, but I think with land, it's a little less competitive, first of all, and it's a little less emotional, where folks have not, like, they're not invested in land as they are in a personal property. So that's what I kind of like about it, because it just seems like folks are a little more open to have conversations about their land with you. It seems like it's not as competitive. So I think there's a lot of potential in land. But the process is basically something: you want to buy low, assign the contract to a seller who wants to buy it for whatever your assignment fee is, and then you make a profit at the closing table. The same process basically as wholesaling a property.
So for this one, what are you looking to make on this one?
So I'm actually JVing with this with another a partner. So I'm looking to make about 5 grand on this one.
Nice.
Yep, and this will be my first deal. So that's it is what it is, but it's not bad. I'll take it.
Hey, yeah. I mean, no, that's awesome. Where was this at? Where were you? Where'd the land come from?
This is actually in DeKalb County, so this is kind of locally here in Georgia. So I was calling DeKalb County Market. I think Lithonia specifically is where it is.
Okay. And is there any like, I guess my question actually is, how did you know what to offer on it?
So my JV partner kind of came in and kind of had a conversation with them, and he was on the phone, kind of asked them questions about the land, and then afterwards we had a conversation about what to offer. So we kind of negotiated that behind the scenes, and that's what I offered the seller.
Okay. So someone who maybe wants to get into wholesaling land. I know you're just starting,
Hmm.
but you do have more information than someone who, like me, never even considered it. So,
Right.
like, what are some points to look for, or that you could get a good deal, or what would be a good piece of land that you could sell, or do you know any of that?
So, from what I've learned and what I'm learning is that you can go to like Zillow and kind of research the hot markets or the hot areas where land is really moving. And then, as you call homeowners or if you cold call, ring this voice, and whatever your method is of contacting them, you go look for homeowners who are in some sort of, you want to find a motivated seller at the end of the day, someone who's willing to kind of wheel and deal on their property. So you want to buy it. I think they say 60 cents or 40 cents on the dollar is kind of what the asking price ends up being. But there's different metrics like you can look at what the property values are, a percentage of the property value is what you offer on the land deal. There's some different metrics you can use in making the offer. But yeah, it's all about finding the motivated sellers, I think, at the end of the day. Folks who don't really have motivation. I talked to one seller yesterday, well, yesterday at the time of this recording, and she said she wasn't really motivated. She said, I'm asking this for my property. I'm not really in any rush to sell it. That's not the person you want to make the offer to because they don't have any motivation to sell it in any sort of fast time period. So I can continue to follow up with her, but you want to find those motivated. I think in investing in general, you want to find people who are motivated. That's kind of like the key word that I've heard and that I know that you need to find the motivated sellers.
Right. That's kind of like, and I know we brought up his name a couple times, which just means I have to get him on this podcast. But Eddie Charger, um, I was talking with him down at Squat Up Summit, and he used a great analogy, which I got to give him credit. This one time, give him credit. Um,
This is
the
one time.
yeah, the what does he call it? The plumber. What is it? The plumber effect, I think is what he calls it. Basically, if you don't have an issue in your home and three different plumbers come up and try and sell you their service, right? You're gonna negotiate the crap out of them, right? Try and get them as low as possible. But as soon as you have a clogged toilet or a backed up septic or whatever, that first plumber shows up, doesn't matter what he offers, doesn't matter how much it is, because you need that service. So
You need
that's
that.
kind of
Yeah, there's that
right.
pain. Yeah, there's that
Yep.
pain.
Awesome.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So I'm curious. I want to go back before real estate. You said you were in broadcast. Tell me a little bit about that. What do you mean by broadcast?
So early in my career, I was a news reporter in Tampa, Florida for about 8 years. So I worked on TV. I was on TV as TV talent, as they call it. So I was reporting daily tragedies and news events of the day, basically. And then I moved to Atlanta in 2006. I worked for a small cable network that went out of business. And then I did some freelancing, got my master's, did some teaching. And then I think in 2015, I started working for Fox 5 as a creative services producer. So this is more behind the scenes role. I was writing spots and promos for Fox 5. I was coming up with creative ideas. And yeah, I was producing commercials basically for the station. And so that's what I did until about a year ago when I had to make a change because of some physical challenges that I'm having.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's cool, man. On
That's what a lot
TV,
of people
bro.
say.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that's what a lot of people say. I guess it was a career, but it's a work at the end of the day. It's what I did, and everybody has to do something. It's just what I did for 8 hours to 10 hours a day for 20, 26 years. About I worked in broadcasting about 26 years.
There you go.
I will
So
say that
how
I
does
loved it though. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the working in television. I really enjoyed the equipment, the creative process, and I'm taking an idea to complete a finished video is kind of like very gratifying for me.
gotcha. So how can you utilize those skills you learned for what you're doing now?
So when I worked as a news reporter, of course you have to meet folks, you have to contact folks all the time. You have to call strangers and set up interviews. So in that sense, I'm pretty comfortable cold calling prospects, having conversations with them. It kind of translates a lot into what we do because you have to build rapport kind of quickly. Like when I worked as a news reporter, there are folks that you're dealing with a tragic situation, so you have to get them comfortable enough to share their story on camera, which can be very challenging. So in that sense, I feel like that skill set translates a lot into what we do because as an investor, you have to build rapport very quickly, ask questions, get the answers that you need, get the information that you need to make a decision about whether you want to move on a property or not.
Gotcha. That's awesome. So did you handle any of the like you were just on the camera initially, so you weren't necessarily like editing videos or doing anything like that, right?
Not when I worked in Tampa, but I learned how to edit throughout my career, and so I've done a little bit of everything. I've edited, I've shot, I can shoot, I can edit. I've done a little bit of everything throughout my career. So yeah, I can do everything.
Man,
Writing, come up with the concept, yeah. And at
okay,
Fox 5 here in Atlanta, it was more of a idea to complete a project. So you kind of just shoot, edit, do all those things.
gotcha. Wow. So you're definitely the guy I need to go to when I have questions about like creating
And
content or
anything,
editing.
yeah, anything creative video editing, yeah, I can be your point as your contact. Definitely, I got your back.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I've actually so this is the 17th episode of my podcast that we're recording right now. And obviously, I want to get to 20 because, as you know, once you get past 20, you get into the top 1% of podcasters. So that is my goal.
We're almost there.
I know, almost there. But in reality, like I want to expand this thing and I want to make it in person is the word.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily want to do it live, but I want to record these podcasts in person if possible. Um,
I think you might want to talk to Eddie Charger because he has a relationship with a studio that does in-person podcast recordings. And they actually, when Pace Morty was here, they actually recorded that episode when Pace was here about I think about a month ago, about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, so
yep.
talk to Eddie. He has the hookup.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. And
Mm-hmm.
that'll be awesome. It's just I'll have to focus for now because I'm not making it big enough. Just so y'all know that are watching, I'm not big enough yet that I can just fly anybody out to be on my podcast. But we'll get there one day. One day.
The good thing about Atlanta is there's a lot of talent here in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's true. Well, awesome. So is there anything else that you would like to share before we move on to the last part of our show?
I will say that I feel like I'm still very much a beginner, so I wanted to preface the interview by saying that. So I'm not any sort of guru or expert. I'm still learning, and yeah, I would say that the biggest thing is just to kind of focus on you might for me like there's a lot of distractions, so there's a lot of different methods of investing, which has caused some confusion as I've started up. But you kind of learn what you're good at, what you're attracted to, and kind of through trial and error, you'll figure out your sweet spot. So I'm kind of in that process right now. But yeah, that's just what it is. It can be like a trial and error. Don't you have to stay persistent and consistent though. Like you can't just try to invest for like a week, make calls for a week, and then say like it doesn't work. you have to be very consistent and I mean, that's with anything. And I kind of look at it like, I spent 5 years in college, working for my undergrad degree. So I'm kind of looking at it like this is my sophomore year. Like I've been doing this for, I think this is my second year now. So I kind of look at it like that, where you have to learn, you have to apply it, and then you kind of have to figure out what you want to do. Just like there's a lot of jobs in broadcasting, there's a lot of different responsibilities and roles in the investing world. So you kind of have to find what works for you and what resonates with your personality and take it from there and try to be your best at whatever you're trying to do.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, so when is that land deal closing for you?
Should close in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So
Yep.
in 2 weeks, God forbid anything happens,
Yeah, right.
you will have your first deal.
We're doing like this.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm still looking for mine, bro.
Hey man, just stay on it. Like I said, you got to stay consistent and persistent, and just work on your skills and work on your areas of weakness, and work on your people skills, and you have to like it was kind of intimidating. It's kind of intimidating cold calling, especially when you're not like when it's your first time making a call about real estate when you feel like you don't have any experience. But but you just have to do it, get your reps in, and it'll get easier. And I think you'll find your deal. You just have to be consistent, get zoned in on what you want to focus on, and just don't give up. You can't quit. That's the rule of life.
Yeah. Now there's something you just said made me think of a quote that I've heard a lot recently. And I had it written down somewhere, but I can't see it. So I'm just going to try and shoot off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Basically, when success or happiness is your target, you will miss. Success cannot be strived for, it is the result of striving for a greater goal than yourself,
I like that. That's
right?
kind of what it is.
So that's something like you're on Eddie's team. I'm on the Muddy Buddies team out in Houston. Um, and that's something I've told a bunch of people. When I started on the team, I didn't go into it wanting to get my first deal. I wasn't trying to get my first deal. I was just trying to
Mhm.
get comfortable on the phones. I was just trying to
Yep.
build that skill of communicating with people. Um, and that's pretty much communication has been one of the big things for me. Hence the reason why I started this podcast as well is get me in contact with more people, more communications, more conversations. Um, I'm still not perfect with my words. I'm not the smoothest, but that's part of the process.
Nobody is though. That's what I tell folks. Folks like, I gotta be perfect. You don't have to be perfect to make a video. You just gotta go out and do it. Have a conversation.
Yep, yep. Although you just wait, give me 5 years, man. I'll be a
Oh, 5 years,
smooth
you'll
talking
definitely be a
little
pro.
man.
You'll be a pro after 5 years, I guarantee. If you're still new in this
Oh
in
yeah,
5 years, yep.
yeah, yeah,
You're gonna look back on the first 20 and be like, oh, it's cringe.
yeah. Oh, I do that now. I do that now. I look back on the first couple. I'm like, oh my gosh. But
So let
awesome.
me ask you.
Well,
So let me ask you. What are you doing on your Houston team then? Of then I know you're closing with Eddie, but what are you doing now with your Houston team?
so I started out with the Houston team, just cold calling like you, agents.
Hmm.
We go after low equity leads.
Yeah.
Trying to do strictly sub two. Obviously, we offer cash, but knowing that the leads we pull are all low equity, so cash is probably not going to work.
Right.
Um, and then, so I did that for 3 months. And then after 3 months, uh, we had, we were broken up into teams. So we had the whole team. And then within that, we had 3 different teams of what we call outreachers, the people cold calling. And
Hmm.
each one had a team lead that kind of managed them.
Okay.
So one of the team leads, for whatever reason, left. And so there was an opening. So they asked if anybody wanted to be a team lead, and I was like, I'll do it. So there was a little interview process, and it was me and one other person going for this one position. And I guess we were both convincing enough that they opened up a new team and put me as a team lead and filled that other spot.
Gotcha.
So now I've got, I want to say, around 14 people under me that
Oh,
make
wow.
calls.
Okay.
And so now I'm
So
learning a
you
new
don't,
skill.
do you call? Do you call now? So you don't call?
So I do normally. Currently, I am going through the top tier underwriting course in Sub
Okay.
2. So I've taken a
Yep.
break from calling to go through that. But I will get
Mm-hmm.
back on it once I'm through that. But my goal was to learn communication, was to learn how to talk to people. Obviously, that is something you've got to continue doing. You can't just spend 3 months learning it and then boom, you're pro, done, right? But as I've gone through this process, um, what was it? Actually, it was Bradley Lewis, which again I need to get him on the podcast. He had mentioned, right? We get in, especially people in sub 2, we get into sub 2 and we think we got to do wholesaling, right? We got to call, we got to wholesale, whatever. And he goes, you do. That is how you get into the rooms with the people that will teach you the path you want to go.
Right.
Right. So for me, I started out thinking, yeah, wholesaling. I got to do wholesaling. Started calling. I got with the team, started learning a bunch of stuff. I started meeting a bunch of people. And it's kind of changed my mind. I know when we met, I had just told you, just got back from Arizona. And um, now I'm looking to start buying single families and do lease options.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's shifted my path just a little bit to more now I'm trying to buy. And I had a specific goal there. Then we just talked before the show, and now that shifted with the information I got. Now I'm looking to buy multifamily and single family in certain markets just so I can turn around and sell it and buy more multifamily. Right. So as you get around these people, your goals and your path will shift to become who you're meant to be.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's never a straight line. It's always kind of windy or ups and downs. There's hills and valleys, and there's highs and lows, and you just have to go with the flow. That's what I was saying about you kind of find out what works for you because there's so many different investment strategies out there.
Yep. That's right. Now, I got to give you credit, Amani. I think you're the first person to make me talk about myself on the podcast because I try
Well,
and
I was
stay away
curious to know. I'm a journalist at heart, so you got to ask
from it.
questions. I got to ask me a couple of questions too.
Oh,
Can't let you do
that's
all the
fine.
asking.
No, but that works. I mean, like, that's actually better than me having to go back and re-record my first episode, right? With the new information, because I did my first episode just me, so that I didn't have to
Hmm.
talk about myself every other time. Um, but yeah,
And plus your perspective has shifted now, so it's always good to kind of revisit the topic or take a look at where you are now versus then.
yep, yep, that's right.
Hmm.
Well,
Like a
unless
year
you
from
got
now,
something else,
if we have an updated interview in a year from now, you will have maybe your first deal. Maybe I'll have several deals, and we can talk about what we've learned and provide more value to the audience. Because now I feel like I can share information with the newbies. Maybe then we'll have more information for the folks who have more experience in the game.
yeah. No, I do like that. I'm thinking about doing maybe like 6 month reviews with everybody that I've
Hmm.
done podcasts with. I
Yeah.
just need to keep track of that. Maybe make those little YouTube shorts. I don't know, or maybe just do a whole podcast. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yep.
Well, if there's anything else, we good to move on to the last part, or is something else you want to talk about?
I'm good if you are.
All right, all right. So, last few questions I ask in every podcast. First, what made you want to be on the podcast today?
Because you asked.
Yep, yep, that is right. I'll be honest.
Mhm.
I was getting nervous because I mean today is Saturday. This recording comes out on Monday, the
You're like, I
6th.
don't, you're like, I don't have a show. I'm under deadline. I know how it works.
Yep, yep, that's exactly what it was. I reached out
That's
to
what
a
you
couple people, and they're like, "I can't do Saturday. Can you do next week?" I'm like, "Oh no, I need Saturday."
You're like, Amani, can you do it 11? I was like, give me an hour. Give me an hour. Let me shave at least. I want to cut my hair. Corey was like, no, don't worry about cutting your hair. Put on a hat. I was like, all right, I'll
Yeah,
put on my
yeah.
ace
It's
hat.
super informal, dude. I always wear like a t-shirt. There's been a couple that I'll wear a button down, but that's because those are special episodes.
Yep.
Dimitri, he wanted certain things, so I was trying to help him out there.
Who's that?
Um,
What's that image behind you? I'm just curious.
this
Yes.
so this is a tapestry that me and my wife got from I think this one we bought at Chichen Itza in Mexico.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Like a
not
Mexican
long.
warrior. Is it a guy
Yeah.
holding a woman? Is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Aztec warrior carrying, I think, either just a woman or maybe a princess. I'm not sure.
Okay. Cool. Very cool.
But honestly, this is just to cover up the fact that I'm in my closet.
It's all good. I understand. You got to do what you do, man. You're starting with humble beginnings. That's good.
That's right. Well, which I think I know how we can remedy this. So, Amani, why aren't we doing business together?
I don't know why we're not doing business together. We have to have more conversations like this and see how our businesses align, Corey.
No, there you go. I
Hmm.
do like the idea of the land. I want to pick your brain about that a little more, or
Yeah.
you get something else. Let's look at it together. I'd love to learn from you.
Cool.
Um, Mainly because like my next goal when we move out of this place is to buy about 5 acres and start a little
Hmm.
farm. Um,
Cool.
so whether that has to be I need to buy land first and then build on it, or what, but love to
Hmm.
learn from you.
Everything involves land too. Even a single family home. It starts. Land is like the foundation of any sort of real estate. So it's definitely a big piece of the puzzle.
Yep. Great. So what would you say your strengths are in business or in your personal life?
I would say my strengths are obviously video production in terms of my professional career, because that's what I've done for the past 26 years. I feel like I have above average interviewing skills, but I need to. But listening is very important. With like this is what I want to say. When you said you want to improve your communication skills, what I want to say about that is listening is a big part of conversations and having meaningful conversations with folks. So as much as you want to work on being a conversationalist, with real estate, you really have to work on being a good listener as well. So that's kind of what I've realized. And that is, I feel like that's one of my strengths, but that's also an area that you can always improve on, because you might have a goal in mind, but the person on the other end of the phone or on the other end of the call, they have another goal in mind. So you have to figure out how their desires kind of align with yours.
Gotcha. Okay,
Mhm.
so your strengths are video editing? No, video. What did you
Video
say?
production in general, and then I feel like
Production. That's the word.
communication, interviewing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you're. Would you say that you're strongest at listening, or that's something you're still working on?
I would say it's always a work in progress. You can always be a better listener, I feel like. We're both married guys, so what did the wife say about us? I'm sure she has her, I'm sure my wife has her complaints about me too. You don't listen. I don't listen enough.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. We're actually
Yep.
dealing with that with my daughter, my oldest daughter. We'll tell her to do something, and she'll be like, "What?
Is she a teenager?
What?
Is she a teen?
No, no, she's only 4."
Wow. You have your
Yeah.
work cut out for you.
Oh, I know. I actually asked her today, because what was it? I think I told her to put her shoes on so we could go for the walk or something like that. And she
Hmm.
was like, "What did you say?" And I had to get close, and I was like, "Put
Put your
on
shoes.
your shoes." And she goes, "Oh, okay," and goes and does it. And I'm like, "Do I need to start talking slower? Like something?
Do we need to
Do
get your
we
hearing
need to
checked,
go get your
maybe?
ears checked out?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
So, well, awesome. So we got your strengths. What about your weaknesses, Amani?
So I'm not really a numbers guy. So I say my weakness are with the numbers, which I obviously have to improve on. But that's my wife's strength. So that's how we can partner together, and she can kind of run the numbers. I'm hoping as I find the deal, she'll be able to do the maybe do the more disposition kind of underwriting kind of thing. Because I'm not really a numbers guy. I'm more of a written kind of, I'm a verbal kind of communication guy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like the numbers. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I'm doing this underwriting thing, so we'll see. I might figure out that I really enjoy it or I don't. But I mean, I've been going through my finances recently, implementing the profit first um, system. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Mm-mm.
Dude, it's pretty good. Look it up. There's actually a book for real estate investors. It's called Profit First for Real Estate Investing.
Okay.
Um, but it's basically just a money management system. It doesn't actually
Gotcha.
like you open certain accounts and allocate every time. Basically, you have an account that your income goes into, and then depending on your business, like if you're wholesaling or if you're uh, got rentals or whatever, you allocate that money from income into different accounts on certain days of the month or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives it more structure. But I'm doing that with my personal finances right now. So we just started it. So this week I'll get to see hopefully how it works because I should be getting
Cool.
paid Thursday. So,
Cool.
um, but yeah. Well, okay. So numbers are your weakness. Then what would you say you need help with in the next 30 days that will make you money?
I think to find a few deals, find some motivated sellers, man. That's what it is at the end of the day. So if anybody can help with that, that's kind of what I need help with, I guess.
Okay, land specifically.
I would say so, yeah. Or else I could bring a deal to Eddie. Like if someone has a sub two challenge or a mortgage challenge, we have a pretty solid team in terms of bring problem solvers. So I can always take deals to Eddie. So either way is fine. Like either way will work.
Okay. Sorry, excuse me. Um, okay, cool. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I just called this person who has a land deal, they're got some pain points, reach out to Amani, um, and JV with him, you know. You don't necessarily have to give him the whole deal. I mean, you can. I'm sure he'd be fine giving you like a referral fee. Um, but feel free to JV with him. That's the beauty of this community is we love to work with
Hmm.
people. So,
Hmm.
or if you got a single family home, I believe is what y'all look for.
Yep, that's what we call every day is the realtors is single family homes. But I think Eddie does like multifamily as well. So he'll do multifamily, but I'm calling specifically on single family homes on market
Gotcha,
deals. Yep.
gotcha. Okay, so yeah, single family home. Reach out to
There's
Amani.
oh, there's one other thing I wanted to share. So I'm actually not even a sub two student, so I'm not in the sub two organization or the community. So I met Eddie very early on when I first started going to networking events. And as I was sort of finding deals, I kind of take him to him and underwrite them. And I sort of just stayed in touch with him. And then he would have like Zoom rooms like always open. So I started hopping on the Zooms every day. And then when he started building his team out, he was like, hey, you want to come make some calls for me? And that's really how I got involved. So, you might think you need the 8 or 10,000 bucks to get involved with subject to the community, but find a leader who can you can add value to in some kind of way, and then you get the mentorship or get I don't have all the information, but I went through a previous sub two course, so I kind of have the idea of what sub two is about, so I know about it. But yeah, I mean, you can be creative in how you find solutions to getting involved in the community is kind of what I wanted to say in closing.
Absolutely, and that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that drew me to the community initially. Is that Pace always said, "Hey, don't join the community. Go work with the community. Right? Go work with the sub two students, and they'll bring you up. So that's the mentality that we try and have, and we try and be go-givers, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So awesome. Well then, lastly, Amani, I see we've got your Instagram there. Is that the best place to reach you? Is there somewhere else you would want people to contact you if they have deals?
Yeah, I have a number set up, so you can call my phone number at 404-654-3070, or email me at yourhomehelper with no E, so it's just HELPR helper, HELPR at gmail.com, yourhomehelper@gmail.com.
Okay, hang on. I should have done this beforehand. Say that number one more time.
Oh, 404-654-3070.
65430.
70. Mhm.
Boom.
Yep. Oh, look at that.
Sorry, I should have done that beforehand, but oh well.
It's all good.
And see, this is the beauty. This is one of the things I appreciate that you do editing, video editing. I do not. So all of these podcasts are unedited. Um, it's just a one take. Boom. So
That is the fastest way to get a video out there, though. I always say just do it in one take. Don't edit. Let it be raw. Let your flaws be out there, because people will resonate with you if you're not perfect. It's fine. Like, you don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. I've been on TV, and it's just, there's no such thing as perfection. You just got to put yourself, especially in this era of social media. People kind of expect some ums and some imperfection, and they're not expecting professional broadcasters in any stretch.
yep. Well, Amani, that's pretty much all I got for you. I really appreciate you coming and hanging out with me.
Yeah, I appreciate you extending the invitation. It's always good to share my story, and hopefully we can get some newbies out there getting inspired to make some cold calls, because I know that can be really challenging, like very intimidating. But it's just a conversation at the end of the day. It's really just a conversation, and you might float the first three or four or five or 10, but you'll get your chops. I mean, every conversation pretty much goes the same. It's just the responses are a little bit different, but it's just about getting your reps in.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's
Hmm.
when I started making cold calls, that's what I had to do. I literally would have to put the number in my phone and sit here, take a deep breath, and just quickly hit call. And be like, oh,
Yeah.
it's calling now. I gotta.
I gotta say something, right? When the
Yep.
person picks up, you gotta say something.
Yep. Well, awesome. All right, Amani. Again, I appreciate you being on here. I'm gonna send you to the back and close this thing up. All right.
I appreciate you, man. All right.
Well, guys, that's our show. Amani was great. I learned a lot from him. He got me talking about myself more than I thought he would. He is, like he said, a great interviewer. So again, if you got something, if you got a land deal, if you got a single family home or even a multifamily home that you've noticed the seller have pain points, or they've got too much mortgage, not enough equity, or if you just don't really know the best way to uh, get them under contract, reach out to Amani. Have him help you, JV with him, right? Even if you just want a referral fee and just like, hey, just teach me something, like he can help out, right? Yeah, he's only a few steps ahead of you. If you haven't done anything, he's only a few steps ahead of you. He's not one of these leaders that, they've got millions and they've done this. You can learn a lot from them too, but there is something different about looking at the guy just ahead of you and trying to mimic what they do. So reach out to Amani. I'll put his number one more time because it was only up there for a short amount of time. Give him a call if you got something. Awesome. That is all I've got for you. And all I have to say is boop, like and subscribe, and tell me give me comments. Tell me what you thought. Tell me what you did or didn't like. Tell me dances, concerns, whatever. I'll look at it. Doesn't mean I'll listen to it, but I'll look at it. So until next time, hope you'll have a wonderful day.